if I could only give one piece of advice to anyone out there who's thinking of starting a business or is in the middle or even the end of their startup journey, it's this. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And it's kind of funny and counterintuitive because it's got nothing to do with how to succeed in your startup, how to grow it, how to scale it, how to exit it. It's actually this word. And I think it's really important. I'll tell you why. Excitement. It's what excites you. And this is especially for any first time founders out there or like aspiring entrepreneurs that maybe just trying to figure out if this is, for them. Because it's a very gritty and tough journey, right? It's when you look back at that experience or when you're, in the middle of it, ask yourself what excites you. You've probably got a ton of things that you need to do to grow that business, right? There's a really funny saying, everyone in their startup career is a CEO, but the E stands for everything. You're the chief everything officer because you're actually doing everything on your own. And I think, funnily enough, in the year 2025 and moving forward, this is going to be even more apparent because you're going to get these rise of solopreneurs, so solo founders, who don't actually want a co-founder because they're going to leverage artificial intelligence. They're going to start companies when they're older, so have their own network and access to capital. So rather than try and find a co-founder, because unfortunately, there's stats floating out there like 65% of startups fail because of co-founder issues. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to do it on their own. But I digress. So you're the chief everything officer. You're trying to build your business. Why am I harping on the word excitement, not telling you how to make that company grow? Well, the reality is, especially if it's your first one, even if you've got the secret sauce, it's probably going to fail, right? And that might not be because of the way you run the business. It might be timing. It might be luck, right? Statistically, the odds are against you. And I'm not saying don't do it because you're going to fail. You're probably going to learn a lot from that, right? But when I look back at my journey, and even when I speak to people who, occasionally, for some silly reason, because they're out of their minds, ask me for advice, I always tell them right now, really like look at the different things that you're doing and figure out what's the thing that almost gets you out of bed or really excites you about your day-to-day job starting this business, right? And I'm not saying the problem you're trying to solve. I'm talking about almost the physical and tangible things that you do on a day-to-day basis, okay? And I'll give you an example. I'll explain to you why I think this is so important when it's applicable to me. Oh, and by the way, the reason why I'm wearing sunglasses right now is because, as many of you know, right now I've got a 4-month-old son. He just turned 4 months old. In the middle of the night last night when I was feeding him at 2 a.m., he somehow snuck his finger into my eye and scratched it. And babies have razor sharp fingernails right now. He really got me good. So I can't really see out of the left eye, can't look at lights. Yeah, but I felt like shooting this video because a lot of the times when I shoot, it's because there's something in me that I just wanted to go out. It's not really planned, like many of my vids, but I just felt like talking about this. So when it comes to me, I had a startup that was called Two Space, and you're more than welcome to, watch my video on how I pretty much harp on how I started a business, how I scaled it to $10 million, how I failed and all that kind of stuff. Well, we turned restaurants into a network of co-working spaces, which funnily enough, I think would kick ass right now in this current market, but we were 10 years too soon, right? And, there's a lot of exciting stuff building that business, brand building, storytelling, the technology, the community, running around, even the investor conversations, pivoting the business model, blah, blah, blah. I won't go into it. But there was one thing that I really, really enjoyed, right? And that was the events. Because whenever I would launch a new space, right, we would do a launch event. And to try and kind of do something that was inspiring or interesting for everyone in the area, we would do these panel discussions, right? And we'd get like 3 or 4 different speakers to come in and talk about their business. But the theme was always something that was relatable to the audience. It wasn't something hyper technical. It was almost like you're a successful within your market founder or co-founder. Tell us about the times that you kind of fucked up and you failed. Right. So the theme of that was around, it was essentially to try and humanize all of these supposedly really successful entrepreneurs and founders. Okay. Now, the events in this kind of angle is really interesting for me because I really loved organizing that stuff. I loved finding the guests. I loved finding what the overarching theme of it would be. I loved finding the sponsors. I loved, the hype, building the hype around it. I loved marketing it. I loved all these things about it. Okay. And I only realized that in hindsight, even now, like 10 years ago when I was doing all of this stuff. And the reason why it's important is because right now I figured out a way how to leverage that excitement, looking back at the stuff I could do that I used to do there to do stuff in my current day job within my corporate career or side hustles to really tap into that, I guess, that energy back then. Because sometimes I think to myself, oh man, I really miss the startup days. I really miss when I was starting and running Two Space and all that stuff. But frankly, when I really think about it, I don't miss all of that because a lot of it was pain, to be honest. I actually really miss the events piece of it, doing all of this. So what I'm actually doing now is a bunch of video podcasts which are relevant to my current job, relevant to commercial real estate, the future of work, right? And believe it or not, the reason why I'm having so much fun doing it is, again, guests, theme, sponsors, hype, marketing. And you see where I'm going with this, right? It's the exact same thing, but when I'm doing this, I get so going with it all that I'm actually starting to put out, I think, really cool, dope content, but within the realm of my day job, my corporate career. And I think that's going to do wonders for my personal brand within the commercial real estate industry because I'm also approaching it in a way where I'm excited, right? It's not like some 9 to 5 thing where it's a box I got to tick. It's like, oh, I got to go do this video podcast. I'm actually doing it because I'm enjoying it, which means because I enjoy it, I'm going to put extra effort into it, right? I'm going to go above and beyond the job description. I'm going to do some really cool things that is going to elevate my personal brand and my company brand so that we'll eventually, build better relationships with the industry and do better deals. So that's my example. I really want you to ask yourself, what's your example? Or think about it when you're doing your startup, right? When you're on your journey, have a think. What's the really cool thing that I'm doing as part of my business right now? It doesn't have to be something as out there as doing events and things. You could be really interested, I don't know, in the app component of it, right? The UX UI, the user interface or the user interaction, how a customer is going to kind of experience their own journey through your technology. What kind of sales process do you do, right? When you're trying to convert leads, do you enjoy understanding all the different touch points or the decision hierarchy that gets involved? Right? Is there an operational component to your business that you really enjoy? If it's a off-the-shelf style of product offering and not services related, is there something about that you love? Is it the storytelling? Is it coming up with a brand? What is it? Because you might just find that your startup experience or your founder experience, after it's all done, whether you succeed or fail or whatever, you uncover what you get really excited about, what that skill is. Because the beauty of starting a business is you got to do everything. And by doing everything, you realize what you fucking hate and what you love. Okay, that's the message I wanted to share. But I hope you think about it because I think it's really important. So good luck to you. You've got this, and I'll speak to you again soon. Man, I got really hyped up for that video. It's because I'm excited.